Welcome, welcome. This is going to be the old bait and switch. I wanted to paint a huge wave today and thought I would show you an example of one that actually uses a slightly different technique. These are heavy brush strokes that were laid out with fairly wet paint. You can see that they've cracked in the drying. After about maybe 3 or 4 hours, the painting was washed over with water from the upper right to the lower left. What appear to be shadows from the waves are not at all that. They're pigment. The painting is quite level, quite flat. But the pigment remained just south of the washing, and so you get this effect. I added some red and some yellow to the lower right for added interest. This is an example of how to produce water with casein, and I thought we would look at this general topic here now that we're in the desert where it's very dry. We're working in a different location. This is a hollow core door that is set on sawhorses that can be bumped around. I just spent 15 minutes leveling it up because I'd like to try a big blue field to see if we can get some nice texture. The first video I did for you had water texture that was never discussed. Let's discuss it. I've got my blue brushes out, the ones that have never quite cleaned up after the Shiva blues that tend to remain. So we got plenty of brushes, and let's go. Here are the stores. 2 cobalt blues and leftover. This will generally make a really nice texture. The question is, do you want a cobalt blue painting? We've got 3, I don't know what I was planning here, 3 permasol blues. These are lovely, not as reliable to make a texture, but they have a beautiful green, thin color. I have a cerulean blue. Don't touch it. If you put a cerulean blue in here, it will clog up everything and you'll get a smooth, sometimes you want it, you'll get a smooth surface. And I've got Shiva Blue Deep, 3 of them. I don't know what I was planning with these. It looks like they were bought at different times at $8.95. I wonder if that'll still do you. And we might add some of that. The best blue paintings I've had have a little red or yellow in them. Not the best, but I find them interesting in retrospect. This cobalt blue is really stiff. It can get that way. After all, it's a mineral pigment. And I found that although I mixed 2 jars of water and casein emulsion, this one ended up with bubbles in it. Less water, more casein emulsion. This one ended up with none. Figure that out. I've decided to put the color into the thicker mixture ever onward. A couple of thoughts. This must be old paint. This is just why it's so stiff. This is going to take a while, and it may have to sit overnight. I wanted just to remind you not to hold your brush like a pencil. You don't get a good enough grip. A sign painter pointed out to me one time that you need to hold your brush with a sturdier grip. So I'm going to be some time working this over, and we'll perhaps set it to water overnight. We'll see what blue appears today. All right, we're going to go for broke here. I'm going to give myself a wave style line up at the top. This board already has texture in it. It has horizontal, has not had its, let's give it the hand. Okay, that feels smooth. We'll leave a little bit of white that may be a sky, but we're going right out to the edge. I made a mistake one time of not taking my time in trying to be a wave. They are very slow in the big ocean to give their shapes. Ooh, are we coming down? Are we satisfied with that? Maybe a little higher. The blue will be excited. This may, by the way, disappear when the blue starts rolling around. The whole thing may go crazy. Not quite such a quiet sea. We're giving ourselves something a little less restrained at the same time. So this is casein and water mixture. I want to make sure that when I put the paint on there that it isn't hesitating and getting stuck and not moving, because there's already a texture on the water. And do as I say. This is Cobalt. I should be doing this with rubber gloves on, because I will no doubt get it on my hands. Ooh, we've got a little spot right here. Okay, I'm going to pick this up and run it up against the light and see if we're ooh, we're not. Right there. Can I see? Looks like we've got everything. Okay, go for broke. I can clean the table afterwards. We're going to put this, oh, by the way, I pushed more of that cobalt blue out of the tube. It was the paint up at the neck that had dried. As soon as you got further into it, the beautiful texture that Richardson had originally placed there was immediately evident. It was creamy and lovely. Okay, guys, let's see what you got for me here. Maybe this is too much paint. I don't know. I don't want to be boring. If it's too much, we can roll it off. We're up over the corner here, but we can push that. Oh, here's a spot I missed. Bad. Don't paint with your mixing brush. Whoops. I've got a couple of bubbles, but not bad. Yeah, I think I have too much paint. Let's give it a good go and see what it'll do for us. I can also just knock out bubbles with a... See, it's going all over the place. I put plastic on the floor before undertaking this one. Oh, by the way, the big news is we're in the desert. We have very low humidity here. It would be hard to get a nice ocean texture up, what'd I do, just drag my sleeve in it, up north where you have a higher humidity almost all the time, often up near 100, because the paint doesn't dry fast enough. If you're going to, come on bubbles, if you're going to get yourself a nice ocean wave, the paint needs to dry kind of midstream. Looks like we've got there we went. Not paying attention up there. We got big mess on the table too. Okay, I'm going to roll this around and see what we got. Maybe I don't have enough paint. Ooh, it's running out towards the edge. You know, we can always clean up the edges, but having them uneven, here we've got a very pale edge, and here we have a rather dark one. We need them to match as well as they can. Let's see what you're going to do for me. I'm going to let it sit and hope that we have moved it enough. I've got problems with higher edges here that are showing the gesso that was put on. That may have to be wiped off. The bottom is quite thick paint, but we've got some nice stuff going on up here. A line, of course, could be cleaned up later, but we want to know what we have first. We're going to let it dry. Hope that we don't get a puddle in the lower left corner. We'll see. Here's an intermediate glance. The painting is not at all the texture I had imagined, but it's coming up nicely where it's dried a bit across the top. We're happy. I'm imagining turtles swimming in here. Let's see what we can do. The humidity is actually very high right now. It's 41% here. Clouds moving in. When it's really, really dry, it'll get down to 10 or 20%, which makes exciting waves. But we'll do something at 41%. Okay, this guy is dry and he's very boring. I actually put him out in the sunshine just to, which we have down here. We've got some water texture up here at the top, but I'm wondering why the rest of it gave me we have interesting wave-like notions, but they were in the gesso. This is nothing coming directly from the paint. So I'm thinking we'll try this again and not use Casein emulsion, but just the Richardson Shiva Cobalt Blue with water. See if we get more excitement. We'll do it on a smaller board. As soon as I touched this dry painting, I realized that it was velvety to the touch, and I thought it's ripe for some polishing. We have an indifferent wave here, really lovely at the top, but otherwise lacking oomph. Right here we have a lighter spot. Let's polish this out and see if we can get the light reflected on the wave coming this way. Then it's deeper here. We're going to put some surfers on here paddling. It almost looks like the wave might be breaking right here, so we'll have them going this way. I want to feature this by putting my surfers over here. The little bit of this and that appeared in moving the paint around changed the lineup here, but it also gave us the notion that it's just at the point of going. Let's not lose that. Let's keep that going. We'll make this a little more interesting, put some very fine figures on here, and fine, we'll see. We'll see. They need to be in proportion, and see what we got. I found that rubbing this dry did absolutely nothing, so I wetted the cloth with trepidation because, oh my God, then you really get more than you wanted. But it looks like we've got some lighter water down here that is going to oppose our upper wave, and I think that we need that for the composition of the painting, so be careful. Also, you'll end up looking at rag marks. Let's see what we can do here. So delicate, barely touching this. And yet, at the same time, come on guys, let's get a painting going here. Should it be going this way? That's the question. Should it be going this way? So we want to indicate that we're moving up. Mostly I'm getting nonsense down here. Also, I've got a little bit of fuzz going in the gesso. And as always, try to avoid scrubbing. It looks like that's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, this in the photos of big waves, this area down here looks like it's peaceful, but it can't possibly be, because it's moving, and the top you know what, this would maybe serve us up higher too, because we've got around our guys, they really disturb the water. Did we achieve anything? And stuff happened closer down to the foreground. Really like to have a little bit more of it here, but it's really stiff. It doesn't want to come off, and we got some better part of valor going here. Maybe I should leave well enough alone. On the other hand, now it looks like it's jumping up here, like there are maybe rocks in the foreground that the water is hitting. Gonna quit. And I'm really looking at scruff marks from my blue cloth, many a blue painting. I'm going to bring this down a little bit more. What's going to give us something that looks less like a cloth? The real surfers are going to scoff. Okay, surfers are us. We'll see how we do with this. I had originally hoped to put them up just cresting on this beautiful wave, but the problem is that in order for this to be monumental, the surfers would have to be tiny. So they're going to end up in this mess that we made down here, and they'll splash around in that. They're in two different sizes, so one of them is just cresting the wave and the other one is following along behind him a little bit closer in. We won't go into whether or not this looks like water, but let's put some surfers on there. Also, in not having surfers up here, we make a completely different spiritual statement. We're messing around here, down here on our little waves, and we're getting there, but the totally big waves elude us or are yet before us. Completely different statement. I wanted to show you this quickly. The first time a cobalt blue wash ever broke up, I thought I was painting a sky, and this is what I got. The green sky was added later, not sure that helps it. Fun, first time it ever happened.